After tackling the high banks of Daytona International Speedway 2 weeks ago, the eNASCAR qualifying iRacing series goes west. Last year, we opened the season caution-free. Last week, we did it as well. We returned to a track that last year we went caution-free in this second split. We finished in a fantastic way. A photo finish with Santiago Tires beating eventual Coke Series driver Nicholas Shelton by just 9/1000ths of a second. Are we in store for another fantastic race in the second split tonight? Well, we're just a couple of moments away from finding that out. Qualifying going on as we speak. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to FTF.GG's coverage of the second race of the 2022 eNASCAR Qualifying iRacing Series season. It's so great to be with you. Jacob Pitts, James Pike, and Caleb Hoffman here with you tonight on the call from the virtual Las Vegas Motor Speedway in Las Vegas, Nevada. James, you saw firsthand what the Coke Series race was here on Tuesday night. Obviously, it's different from the next gens to the trucks, but is there anything that you took away from Coke that you can kind of carry into this race tonight?
Honestly, I think it's really hard to carry over a lot because the cars or vehicles, I suppose, in this case, race so differently. Like you said, the trucks have a package that's more like what we saw last year with the Gen 6 cars. The package they ran on 1.5 miles. So you just crank down the RPMs at full throttle by about maybe 2,000 or 3,000. So it's a little bit different. You're in a little bit of a lower torque band, but it's going to look more like a hybrid of the Pack-esque racing that we saw on Tuesday night, mixed in with some of the Gen 6 racing that we saw from the past few years in the Cup Series.
Caleb, I mentioned at the top the fact that we went wire-to-wire caution-free in this race a year ago when we started the eNASCAR Qualifying iRacing Series season here at Las Vegas. Do we get the same treatment tonight, or do you think that these guys are just going to be too aggressive and wad them up, or we're going to see one wreck, whether it's just a mistake on green flag pit stops? Where could we see it if it's going to come?
I don't know. Honestly, it's a huge wild card because, we sat at pre-race at Daytona and we're like, we're definitely going to get something here. We're going to get a big wreck. The big one's coming. It's Daytona, right? And then we went caution-free the entire race. So, I feel like we'll truly have an answer once we kind of get into that run, see how we're doing. But I don't know. Honestly, anything can go right now.
And this is what I get for going off script. Justin Malillo, he's down on pit road. We kind of floated him out there. He was covering live from Daytona 2 weeks ago. While he's back home tonight, he joins us on the broadcast as well. We'll hear from him from time to time, talking about fuel mileage. A little too early to be talking about points, but James, you got to start keeping points in mind, especially because these drivers, even though they do get a drop, 6 races to go after tonight.
That's the tricky thing. You get to the middle of the season and then you cut. And you only take the top 70 to get to race on into the summer and into the fall. And we saw last year, especially in the top split at Dover, which is the cutoff race a year ago, just how tight that was. We were keeping track of points. People were floating in and out of that cutoff range the whole race. So, yes, every race really does matter. And I know it's mentally taxing and you want the opportunity to just take a breather, but you really don't get that, especially if you got caught up in trouble last week at Daytona and had a bad finish. Your drop effectively is going to get burned in that situation. You really have to go for it from here on out to the end of round one.
No doubt about it. Of course, Garrett Conrath came away with the checkered flag 2 weeks ago at Daytona International Speedway. He's back in our split tonight. He sits P4 right now on the speed charts as we enter the final minute here of qualifying. These times all over each other, second and third right now, the same time, 30.090. It's a 10th. Separating from first all the way back to 22nd. As we're inside the final 35 seconds here in qualifying. And Daniel Buttafuoco, we saw what happened with him 2 weeks ago at Daytona. He was leading, tried to pull down to the inside and clear himself, and he got turned down into the inside grass. It cost him a shot at the win, and he thought maybe he'd get a chance to rebound. Of course, we did not go caution-free, we did go caution-free, so he never had a shot, Caleb, to get back on the lead lap and try and put himself in contention to win the race.
Yeah, I think, as you can see right now, I think he's definitely feeling a little more driven this week, trying to get redemption for, a race that he was up front and contending for up until that wreck. As you said, never had a chance to get back up front, so he's going to have a fire under him tonight.
Qualifying is complete. 100 laps are up on the board. Let's take a look at our starting grid for tonight's race here from Las Vegas. Daniel Buttafuoco, as I just mentioned, he's on the pole position. Brandon McKissick lines up to his outside. Row number 2 features Joey Brown and Garrett Conrath. Barrett Bonner in row 3 with Jonathan Delaney. Brian Schoenberg and Omar Diallo make up the top 8, and Michael P. Frisch and Jacob Hall round out our top 10.
In row 6, you'll find a pair of Wills, Will Cooley and Will Klein. Blaze Crawford will start alongside Jake Matheson, who rolls off from 14th. 15th on the grid will be Michael Venable. Justin Knobloch starts from the 16th position. 17th is where you'll find Lucas Cram. Connor Strong rolls off from the 18th position. The top 20 completed by Jesse Spores and Dmitry Anaseyev.
Yeah, we're going to take a look here. We got Dustin Monburquette, take that, Jason Maines, Jacob Putman and Joseph, Tommy Gossett and Jordan Worth, Landon Huffman and Michael Rosero, Devin Hall, Dustin Montgomery in row 15.
Landon Huffman?
Yeah, that's what I get.
Yeah, all right. Yep, okay. Matthew Thunhorst lines up with Matt Cocker up on the outside in row 16, then Dallas Patoska, sorry, new name, not used to it. Connor Horn lines up to his outside. PJ Evans rounds out our field of 35. Shotgun in the field in position number 18. Before we get these trucks rolling, and get us underway, let's go downstairs and meet the 4th member of our broadcast team, Justin Malillo. What you got for us?
Thank you, Jacob. I got some notes. I definitely took some notes. I promise I did. Few mileage tonight. We were kind of wishy-washy on that. It could either be 40 laps. It could be 50 laps. It might be in between, maybe a 44 to 48. I don't know. All I know is that I tried out a basic setup and was able to go full throttle for about 11 laps by myself, and it was telling me about as much. So look for these guys to be doing either 1, maybe 2 pit stops, depending on when cautions fall. I would expect that fresh tires are always going to be a thing that they're going to want to do, especially when the cautions come out. They do have 3 sets of tires in the pits, so we'll look for that, and we'll talk to you later in the race.
Thank you, Justin. And you do have a lot of notes. I'm worried that your calculator might start smoking by the time we get to fuel mileage if we go green. Now, this race is a little bit different from how we saw it a year ago. We were under the daytime when we ran here last year in the eNASCAR qualifying iRacing series. Today, we are under the lights. And we'll be running these 100 laps pretty much from dusk on, just shy of 6 o'clock in sim. As the field comes around, down the back straightaway, headed to turn number 3. And we're going to get set here to go racing, guys, in this second race of the season. So here they come off turn 4. Daniel Buttafuoco will lead us down to the green flag with Brandon McKissick on the outside. Pace car is in. We're glad you're watching. Let's have some fun from Vegas. Green flag, we're underway. Lap 1 in the books. Daniel Buttafuoco leads this opening lap. Second place, Joey Brown, as we've got trouble. Caution is out. One truck sideways on the front straightaway. Michael Venable is around. And that's our first caution in the second split, just like that. Another car sideways, couple of them. Pastaka is around. Connor Horn, I think, got a piece of it. Dustin Monburquette got a piece of it. And we're under caution on lap 2.
not a sublime start for Michael Venable, who got loose on corner exit and then got rear end damage from someone. Couldn't tell who, but I believe the answer to that question is Jacob Putman. And there were a few other trucks that caught pieces of this incident. You see Venable and the contact there with Putman right there, dead center of the tri-oval. And credit to most of the field for being able to get to the left or the right and get around this. Thankfully, the front stretch at Vegas is wide enough to where you can avoid things if need be, but a tricky start to this race, the second round of the eNASCAR qualifying iRacing series for 2022.
A lot of trucks involved in this one early on at the back of the field, and we couldn't even make it the full field around for a full lap, which is surprising because we made it a pretty good way 2 weeks ago back at Daytona, where we thought things really weren't going to go well.
Yeah, it looks like here they just a little antsy on the start, as we said earlier. Justin Knobloch got loose there, lost it right in front of the field. So we'll see how this turns out for the rest of the race. If we get a cautions breed cautions incident, or if we're gonna have a nice run after this.
Just going to have to wait and see. Pits are open. Does not look like anybody is going to take advantage of it, at least in the front of the field. As again, we're under caution for the first time tonight, as we were finishing up our first lap with some contact in the back of the field. It was Michael Venable that got turned around. Well, he just lost it all by himself, then got hit from behind, and it was chaos, pandemonium on the front straightaway. Daniel Buttafuoco still leads this thing in that 17 truck. He's got the 34 right behind him of Joey Brown, who started third and was able to get by that 18 of Brandon McKissick. He's fallen back to fourth after that opening lap.
I feel like Buttafuoco's basically picking up right where he left off in the eNASCAR College iRacing Series a week ago at Daytona. Had a great showing there, came over the podium and showed plenty of speed throughout that race. He's a driver who's had plenty of experience across the board in sim racing, and not only in iRacing, but with other platforms as well. And no shocker, I think, to me, that he can jump in here and the Rutgers Scarlet Knight can find some speed, find some success early on in the going of Vegas.
Destiny Momborquette has parked the truck, done for the night. So Momborquette does not finish this race strong, and even worse news for him, that's back-to-back last place finishes. In the second split, he finished last at Daytona, 2 laps down. Tonight, he's going to finish last, far, far behind the rest of the field, as we only completed 1 lap.
Yeah, definitely a tough break for him. I wanted to take a look at something I noticed. Although it was a really short run, we barely got that first lap completed, but these guys really weren't scared to fan out, go, what was looking like side-by-side, 3 wide on the backstretch. So I definitely think that pack element's going to be interesting to watch here on this next restart.
Kevin McAdams, who we know and work with from time to time here on FTF.GG. He's down, FTF.GG, I said that right. He's down in the third split, and it sounds like they also couldn't make it further than a lap. So they're also under caution. We're half a lap away now from getting back to green with Daniel Buttafuoco and Joey Brown up in these top 2 spots. It'll be interesting now to see here, James, how Brandon McKissick in that 18 truck does now that he's still on the outside, but not the first truck in line anymore.
I don't really know if we got the chance to build a notebook all that much from 1 lap of racing. I don't really think we've got a good sense of what anybody has, even on a short run, much less a long run. So this restart will be fun. I think we'll be able to establish some of the major players in this race once we go green.
Field comes off corner number 4. Pace car makes the hard left turn onto the apron and onto pit road. The field's in the hands of Buttafuoco as they come down for the restart. Green flag, our first restart of the night, and we are back underway here from Las Vegas. A good restart on the outside from Brown. Still, Buttafuoco's going to be clear as they head to 1.
Yeah, Brown got a way better jump than the number 18 of McKissick did last time, but again, still wasn't enough as Buttafuoco just able to clear him, and now he's out front right now. We see these 2 trucks on the high side. Looks like Joey Brown's going to hop out of line here and go up to the middle.
Here they come through 3 and 4. Garrett Conrath, second on that inside line. We saw him win at Daytona 2 weeks ago. Tried to go back-to-back and make life pretty easy for him. It's going to be, it's got to be nice in his camp knowing that he's already got the win. He's got to keep the momentum going, and he's up at the front once again here.
I don't think he's going to complain all that much. I think the tricky thing is that it might be a little bit more difficult to pull off the pit strategy that he did. Remember, he and a lot of the other Nexus Esports drivers found the track position that they did that put them in position to win or have good finishes because they went on an alternate pit strategy compared to everybody else. Here at Vegas, with the amount of laps and the way these cycles are going to work out, that's far more difficult to pull off. It's not impossible, but there's going to be a little bit more racecraft involved, I think, if you're going to find your way to the front here.
Here they come off turn number 2, still side by side for the lead. Botafuco on the inside, Brown up on the outside. Barrett Bonner had some trouble keeping his 14 truck down on that inside line. He washed up a little bit in 2. He's going to do it a little bit again here in turn number 4. He's got the 5 of Jonathan Delaney up on the outside, and I'm sure he's got to be nervous about the truck downstairs.
Yeah, looking right now, and it still just looks like draft is king at the moment. We saw Joey Brown duck behind Botafuco there, right there on the straight. He's peeking back outside. Maybe looks like he's going to try to use that momentum to get a little side draft on the straight, but as of right now, it's just stay in line and get what draft you can.
Stay in line and work together, especially because as this run goes on, the tire's going to start to give away a little bit, and that's when you're going to have to control the throttle a little bit more, but you're also going to want to stay in the draft. That's the key here.
It is kind of like super speedway racing. It is also not totally like super speedway racing, especially because of the tire wear, like you mentioned. These drivers will be able to go flat out for the most part now, but as the tires get, you are going to have to lift on corner entry a little bit. We'll see who gets loose, who gets tight, and who ends up in trouble as we go on board with Michael P. Frisch.
Frisch sitting back in the 11th position right now as this outside line is starting to build up some momentum. Brandon McKissick second in the top side. He had a moment where he was clear to the inside. Instead, he's going to stay up top and push that 34 of Joey Brown and try and get him out in front of this field and clear of the 17 as they come off 2.
Yeah, I wonder if we get more into this run, if we're going to start seeing guys kind of drift up higher as these tires wear out. It's going to be easier to run, that outside in higher lanes. We already see McKissick right now kind of, peeking outside a little bit. So just going to be really interesting to see here these next few laps develop.
And we talk about tires being crucial in keeping these trucks in line. How about just the draft in and of itself? It can't be that easy trying to keep the truck down on the inside when you got somebody in front of you taking the air off the nose and somebody then up on the outside.
And I think that's really going to come into play later on. If we get a green flag run that goes maybe 25, 30, 35 laps or so, you are going to see these trucks get tight when they're behind somebody else. And that could factor into things, especially when you come off of 2 and 4. The exits of the corners here are notoriously tight. They're deceptive for how tight they can be. Wouldn't be shocked if someone ends up fencing it at some stage.
Jacob Putman has parked the truck. He is done for the night. He will finish in the 35th and final position, which means that Dustin Mumborquette will finish instead in 34th tonight, not 35th. 32 trucks on the lead lap. Dallas Pataska is the only one that is still running. He is 6 laps down, and he's actually back on pit road right now as the field heads back to turn 1.
Yeah, I'm watching Garrett Conrath right now, and just looking on these exits, he is, just already kind of running a little bit wide on exits, not so much entirely squeezing yet, but these next few laps, I feel like it's going to get to that point. Again, just, I think tires are going to be that crucial key tonight. You're going to want to stay in the throttle with fresher tires, so we'll see how it plays out as we get farther into this run.
14 laps are complete of 100 here from Las Vegas, and we're still side by side for the lead, even though Botafuco pulled away for just a moment. Brown is now back up on the outside here, and Botafuco, he's having a difficult time. He doesn't have Conrath all over his back bumper, so he doesn't have as much of the draft, but still that inside line is giving him an advantage.
Botafuco, Huffman, Cucker, Mumborquette. Repeat it after me. I love
For
you guys.
crying out loud.
I love you guys. I'm sorry. But In either case, Buttafuoco, you're not really going to see much separation, I think, between the top drivers until the tires start to wear out. That's what creates the gaps with these trucks at the mile-and-a-half, and I think here in particular at Las Vegas, and we saw it last year in this race too. They were pretty bunched up until we got towards the end of that green flag run, and the pit stops especially helped to spread them out as you see the 2 leaders going door to door for P1. But it's going to take time. You get these guys bunched up together right off a restart like we have. It takes a lot to really separate them and create some one-on-one race.
Thought it was interesting going into 3 a lap ago. What's going to happen here again, where McKissick drops from the outside, gets back on the inside, and then goes back to the top down in 1 and 2. So he has the room to go down low. He just doesn't use it all the time. As here's Joey Brown onto the apron looking for the race lead. He's gotten Buttafuoco up off the inside. He goes to that inside, and he's going to try and clear that 17 here off turn 2.
Yeah, I mean, Joey Brown probably just got tired of watching Buttafuoco just command the race on the inside. He was like, I want some of that for myself. And you saw that power move on the front stretch to dip the truck down onto the very bottom of the track, and now he's going to have control of the lead.
Maybe. If he can clear that 17 of Buttafuoco, you also have to keep in mind McKissick right there in that 3rd spot. He's kind of balancing both lanes out. He can go wherever he wants to, and I think that really helps his truck. Not where he's just hung on a line, where he can kind of use the whole racetrack.
To a point, but then you look to his outside, look at Jonathan Delaney going to the high line and maybe, just maybe, trying to follow up Buttafuoco, but everybody drops down to the inside in front of him. So now Delaney is that first truck up top, currently scored in the 3rd position and trying to take it away outright from McKissick underneath him.
Joey Brown leads the way now, getting by Buttafuoco. Brandon McKissick doing everything he can in that red and black 18 truck down to that inside line to pull this inside along, but he's got company up on that outside line in the 5 of Jonathan Delaney. He pokes his nose out in front, and he's almost clear. In fact, he is clear in the middle of 3.
Yeah, and right now Joey Brown's got to be sighing just a breath of relief because, again, going back to these tires real fast, having to stay on the inside, keeping that inside lane on exit is going to, wear out more of the wear out those tires faster. Whereas now he gets to, just follow the natural arc and let that momentum carry him out to the wall. So using less of those tires, and now with some of these guys battling behind him, gonna be a good situation right now for Joey Brown.
Bonner now sits in P4. McKissick has dropped to P5, so McKissick now dropping 3 spots since the start of the race. As we come around, 21 laps are complete. The field heads back to turn number 1. Here comes the 8, Will Cooley down on the inside. First time we've called his name all night long.
Figured at some point we'd start to see some of the hard chargers, and Cooley's up a few spots, but go just a few trunks behind him. How about Tommy Gossett, who started in the 25th position? He's already up to 11th. The only other person that's in the same ballpark in terms of positions gained, Landon Huffman, who started 27th and is up to 16th. He's in the shot a little bit further back as well, but those two very quickly rising to the top as some of the hardest chargers in the field up to this point.
Here they come off turn number 2, and the top 5, 6 make it 7, all single file. Here comes Omar Diallo to the inside, trying to pull up a pass on Brian Schoenberg. And McKissick and Conrath are about to be side by side just up the road in front of them. Conrath up on the outside. Some great battles here. Maybe not directly at the front, but certainly having an impact at the front.
Yeah, I was going to talk about Omar Diallo. Another one of those guys who just had a rough week at Daytona 2 weeks ago. Having a nice run so far tonight, up in 7th right now. So hopefully he can keep this run up and, again, just kind of get some redemption after Daytona, just a rough run.
24 laps complete this time by Garrett Conrath. Trying to find a way by Brandon McKissick side by side behind them with Diallo and Schoenberg. Blaze Crawford waiting in the wings behind them. As Diallo's going to take the spot with the 13 all over the back door. Can't do anything with it. Diallo clear and takes over P7.
Also, you want to tell me that clean air doesn't matter? Joey Brown with a 10th quicker than just about everybody else in this field. And when they come back across the stripe, we'll take a look at lap times one more time to see where everybody sits. A little bit closer that time around. So I think everybody's starting to tuck in, realizing that if you don't get into single file racing, you're only going to give up time to the trucks ahead of you. You're going to start to see gaps form. We've seen everybody in the top 10 sort of get the memo, but you get back to Jake Matheson and Jacob Hall fighting for 12th and 13th, they're still door to door, at least for the moment.
Here they come into 3, and a couple of these guys getting dangerously close to the apron. This isn't a track like Auto Club. You do not want to touch the apron. You touch the apron here, you're going to be in a whole lot of trouble.
Yeah, just again, watching some of these guys that are still side by side, they're, ill handling compared to a lot of these guys that are single file. I believe it was Will Klein off 2 laps time, got super loose, almost went down to the apron, and just, might be in their best interest to just kind of ride around, because we're only about a fourth through this race at the moment.
The third split just had another yellow. I believe that's their second. So they go under caution once again. We're still green here after that lap 2 caution that we had. 27 laps are complete. There you see a battle back there with the 8 of Will Cooley, just in a conga line of cars. And the first battle, really have to go all the way back to outside the top 10 to about 15th, where Michael P. Frisch has Justin Knobloch all over the back door.
I was going to say that Landon Huffman and Jacob Hall were in a battle, but yeah, really starting to see it go single file here properly. Knobloch and Klein, your best battle on the racetrack at this point. You see Klein go down to the bottom, working that line right along the apron. Don't want to touch it here in Vegas. You get loose pretty quickly, but hooking the white line down to the bottom usually gets you about a 10th if you hit it right.
And you got to wonder if the plan for some of these guys is to go single file, not only to save tires, but also get organized for whenever they're going to have to make their first green flag pit stop, because a lot of these guys, in fact, all of these guys inside the top 19 did not stop under that caution flag, so they're going to be looking to pit here in the next 10 laps or so for fuel.
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to mention, is just noticing how they're single file, definitely thinking that they're going to, they don't want to be side by side coming into the pits, potentially, miss their box or anything like that. So definitely just, I think this is an attempt to get organized once those pit stops roll around here in about 10 laps or maybe even sooner.
Landon Huffman peeking out of line, trying to get underneath Jacob Hall here. This is for the 13th place. And Huffman just has to ride back in line. Here comes Justin Knobloch, though. He's going to counteract this, and he'll go to the inside, trying to take 14th away from Huffman.
And Knobloch got a really good run out of 2 that last time by, which should make this pass pretty easy out of 4. Meanwhile, just up the road, just Jake Matheson have anything for Tommy Gossett, who's got a little bit of damage to the nose of his Toyota Tundra, I noticed. One of the few trucks that isn't entirely clean, which makes the fact that he's running right on the fringes of the top 10 all the more impressive, given how much aerodynamics matter here.
It looks like he's got some damage to the front and the rear of the truck. And he was up in the top 5, I believe, at one point. Looks like he's starting to drop back now. So got to wonder if that is just the damage affecting him. Then he'll try to fix that whenever he gets a chance to come to pit road, either under green or under yellow. 32 laps complete here from Las Vegas. Out of the 100 that are on the board, Joey Brown leads the way. So you see a battle back there coming off turn number 2. That is with the 29 of Gossett.
Yeah, I'm looking right now at Brandon McKissick. He's currently trying to attempt to pass on Bonner right now for the 4th position. It looks like he's going to get on the outside. Conrath as well going to follow him, and it looks like they're going to try to freight train. McKissick gets clear right now, but they're still side by side for what is now 5th between Conrath and Bonner.
Still side by side as Bonner slides it on up. That means Conrath is going to have to move up. Conrath still with the run, and that's going to open the door. Here comes Diallo up on the outside line. He wants to join the party.
I thought Conrath was going to have to check up because the way he drifted up the racetrack in the middle of turn 2, I thought that truck got tight, but it was actually a really nice exit from Conrath. And again, look at the difference that happened, or the difference it's created when two trucks go door to door. Conrath was able to open up a full truck length just within one corner. You really don't want to stay side by side for long here if you can avoid it.
Yeah, especially once you start losing the draft little by little. When they're in the big pack, you can kind of afford it because everybody's side by side. Tommy Gossett comes over the radio and says he is coming in this time by, so watch this 29. Everybody kind of washes up to give him plenty of room. He'll get on the brakes and try to get it to pit speed in time by that cone, and he does. Everybody survives. No incident in the first green flag stop that we see. A little off cycle, but Gossett, we know he had the damage on his truck.
Yeah, so noticing right now that it looks like tires are starting to, kind of starting to show their age. I'm looking at Jake Matheson right now, and he attempted to take turn 1 and 2 full throttle and just washed way up the track. Had to get out of the throttle and lost a few spots. Looking like Bonner kind of had that same effect going on, just washing up. Didn't lose much time from it, but tires are definitely starting to show their age.
The lap times have fallen off by just over a second kind of across the board throughout this field, if not more than that right now. 36 laps are complete, and you gotta wonder when we're gonna see more starting to trickle. Justin Knobloch, Omar Diallo, Landon Huffman, they all make the call. They are coming in this time. Here comes Diallo. Here comes Knobloch. Huffman not too far behind, and those three make it down without any incident. So here we go, Justin Malillo. This is the point now where we're starting to see everybody come on the pit road a little bit early from what you were anticipating.
Well, if they're going to be doing the two-stop strategy, this is right on cue. This is about 1/3 of the way through the race, 100 laps. About 35, 33 laps would be about where you'd want to pit. They did have that early caution. So these guys are coming down, they're filling it up, 4 tires, fuel. These guys are definitely on the two-stop strategy.
New leader, Daniel Buttafuoco, retains the point, gets back by Joey Brown, set him up down the back straightaway, got by him, and that could open the door here for the 5 of Jonathan Delaney, as he is right on the back bumper of that number 34 truck.
Everything I'm seeing with lap times indicates to me that Joey Brown has run his truck a little bit harder than some of the other drivers around him, because he was a full 10th off the pace of Delaney and a full 2/10 slower than Buttafuoco the last time by. And as they come across the stripe again, Buttafuoco 2/10 up on Brown and Delaney 1/10 up on Brown, although Brown's going to make a good run to the bottom here. But again, you punish your tires too much. Don't leave yourself any room to run at the back end of these green flag stints. You leave yourself liable to getting past left, right, center, maybe in this case underneath. Delaney's looking, but he's not alongside yet, as Buttafuoco will come to pit road, and it looks like Delaney will follow.
Oh, Conrath! Oh, 3 wide coming to pit road. Conrath almost missed it, almost hit the cone, and almost hit Buttafuoco. Instead, he hits nothing. Garrett Conrath with maybe the most aggressive approach to try and get to pit road. It works for him. How he did not speed, I don't know, but no black flags out of that pit stop.
Yeah, that was definitely a late entry for sure. I mean, just dove it in. As we see, that's McKissick coming in. Now he gets a little sideways. Yeah, great save from him. And now Joey Brown's going to be probably one of the only guys up front that have not pitted yet. Looks like Schoenberg and Bonner have stayed out so far as well. That's your top 3.
And Buttafuoco overshot his box. He had to back up. That's going to cost him a lot of time. And really, with the way that Conrath stormed onto pit road, that may allow him to jump a couple of these guys. He's more than likely going to jump Buttafuoco because he overshot his box and had to back up for it.
Well, about that, Jacob, here's the problem. Conrad's still in his box, everybody else is left, and that suggests to me that Mr. Conrath got caught by the speeding police and had to serve a pretty significant penalty. So Conrath really went for it, really might be paying for it, especially if we go green the rest of the way.
Which is interesting because the sim did not show a black flag, but pit speed is 50?
With the way he was stopped in the
Looking
box,
at the replay.
that's the only reasonable explanation that's out
Right.
there. It had to be or
Unsafe pit entry. So iRacing thinks he hit the cone. That's what it was. He got too close to it. It was very close. I would think unsafe pit entry might be it. I mean, he's doing 52 when he hits the line and then slows down almost right away. Maybe it was, I don't know. Maybe if he finishes, we'll talk to him and ask him.
I mean,
Up in the top three.
We can debate what the penalty may or may not have been, but the main point here is that everybody else that's coming down pit road is 1 lap down relative to Joey Brown. Conrath is the only driver 2 laps down, and last of the cars that are still properly running without any damage, Dallas Pataska is 17 laps back of the race leader, but Conrath really needs this to go green all the way through the pit cycle, and then needs a yellow after it to get his lap back so he can go chasing after the Delaney's, the Huffmans, the Connor Shongs, the Will Kleins that are right above him with electronic timing and scoring.
We've got a giant pack in turn 2 right now, led by Michael P. Frisch, and they are flying through these guys that are on older tires. They just passed Jason Maines. They also just passed Jordan Worth, 2 guys that have yet to pit. Coker is another. And this pack of 5 or 6 have already pitted. They're way back in the field. This is Rosero, Dustin Montgomery. Let's see, we've got the 23 as well of Dmitry Yenisseyev. Connor Horn is in there, PJ Evans as well as Frisch. Now they got Pataska just up the road right in front of them, and they are flying around this racetrack. And just the amount of cars that are in this pack, it can be kind of nerve-wracking, at least for us, just with the possibility of somebody makes a mistake and then we get a yellow. Normally it comes from when there's a giant cluster of drivers in a single area, not just 2 trucks in a single area.
And more importantly, those yellows usually come because of the differences in speed and pace. These drivers on fresh tires are entering the corners about 10 to 15 miles an hour faster than the handful of drivers that have stayed out. It's that difference in speed that changes closing rates, that changes lifting and braking points, that forces people to check up. And there's a little bit of velocitation involved in there too, because you're so used to running either so slowly or so quickly that it's hard for you to adjust for the other drivers that are either on fresh tires or on old tires, depending on where you fall in the cycle. And it's those little differences that usually create yellow flags in situations like this.
Matthew Thunhorst is our race leader. Your top 7 have yet to pit. Thunhorst is staying out for another lap. Here comes this pack that I was just talking about. They are right behind the race leader right now. But it will not be long until the drivers that Thunhorst is trying to hold off that have already pitted will get there. Omar Diallo is the first one that is pitted on the leaderboard. He's 25 seconds, though, behind Thunhorst. So we're going to be waiting on him to pit as here comes PJ Evans and crew round the outside of your race leader in Thunhorst getting a lap back. Frisch on the low side. He's going to have to split the difference here and go to the bottom 3 wide.
And if these guys have stayed out so far, this top 7, you're absolutely hoping that this pack just junks it, because right now you're seeing every advantage that you get from staying out, it's just dwindling away by the lap. I mean, once these guys catch you, you know, you're potentially going to be 1 lap down when you pit.
We are halfway here from Las Vegas. It has snuck up on us, so as we cross this halfway point of tonight's race, it's time to bring you the iRacing Midway Race Break, brought to you by iRacing. iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in Australian supercars, IndyCar, IMSA, NASCAR, the World of Outlaws, and more. Your race leader at the current moment is Matthew Thunhorst, but he just came over the radio and said he is pitting. So bear with us as things shuffle and people come onto pit road that need to come onto pit road. Thunhorst is the leader, but not for very long. Then it's Lucas Cram, Joseph, Jason Maines, Matt Coker, Jordan Worth, Omar Diallo, Tommy Gossett, Justin Knobloch, Daniel Buttafuoco, your top 10, James.
For the moment, Brandon McKissick currently scored in 11th. 12th goes to Blaze Crawford. Jake Matheson currently runs in the 13th spot. 14th belongs to Will Cooley. PJ Evans holds the 15th position. 16th is where you'll find Connor Horn. Michael Frisch at 17th. 18th is Michael Rosero. Jacob Hall rides in the 19th spot. And now Dustin Montgomery and company sitting in 20th.
Yeah, right now, 21st, Devin Hall, Will Klein, who we saw get a little out of shape earlier in 22nd, Connor Shong, Matt Kosher, Jesse Schwartz, Jordan Worth in 26th, Dmitry Anesiev in 27th, Jonathan Delaney in 28th, who we saw in that lead pack earlier, Landon Huffman, get that one right this time, 29th, Joey Brown, who we saw leading for a fair amount earlier this race, sitting in 30th, Garrett Conrath after that unfortunate pit road penalty, 31st, Michael Venable, 32nd, Dallas Pataska, 33rd, Mon Burkett is out of the race currently, and Putman as well in round.
Joey Brown has just left the server. Joey Brown has parked the truck. What happened?
Joey Brown ran into trouble coming out of the tri-oval. There was contact, I think, between Brown and, just got caught in a really bad spot between, I don't know if we'll get the chance to go to replay. It was the beginning of lap 52.
Oh, full wide.
Montgomery. Yeah, Dustin Montgomery and Dmitry Anaseyev get together, and Brown was just on the outside of it. There wasn't anything Brown could have done, but Anaseyev gets into Brown, and that's your race leader. You see the tail end of the incident here. Have to go back just a hair to get the full replay, but Brown hits the fence, and here you'll see it. The contact between the two in the middle, they bounce up, and hard to see Brown totally get the fence, but right there, contact on the entry to turn one, and it absolutely tears Joey Brown's race to pieces, which is a heartbreaker given how fast he was. But all of a sudden, one of the fastest trucks in Las Vegas in the second split of the second race of the 2022 eNASCAR qualifying iRacing series is done for the night.
No caution from that incident, and I talked about it was in that cluster that I talked about that's got to be somewhere to watch just in case, and they're almost trying to do it again back here. Michael Frisch almost got run over by Brian Schoenberg. Nonetheless, that ends our midway race break for tonight with over 200,000 drivers on the service and over 90 laser scan tracks and cars to choose from. iRacing is your portal to the racing world. Get on track today at iRacing.com. Your race leader is Omar Diallo. Justin Knobloch's in second, then it's Tommy Gossett, Daniel Buttafuoco, Brandon McKissick, Blaze Crawford, Jake Matheson, Will Cooley, Jacob Hall, PJ Evans, your top 10. Some shuffling going on in that top 10, but that's the way it looks for a moment. You just need to watch this battle from 10th on back with PJ Evans and company, because it is a snarling pack here coming off turn 2.
Yeah, right now I'm looking at Daniel Buttafuoco in third. He, in a second pack, are trying to catch Omar Diallo and Justin Knobloch, who did pit earlier than this lead pack. So right now, I think it's going to be interesting to see when that tire fall off really hits these front two trucks, especially with the less amount of drafting help that they have, running only two by themselves right now.
So we are closing in on just 40 laps to go here from Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Diallo continues to lead the way now based off of strategy. But you're right, Caleb, he did pit a little bit earlier than most of the other leaders. So he's going to be a little off cycle here in the end, but we'll see if that all pays off and gets Diallo to go to victory lane. But he's in a battle for the race lead. Justin Knobloch all over the back door.
Good battle for first, good battle for about fifth or so with Jake Matheson, and then that pack that you talked about, starting, call it Jacob Hall in ninth, and then stretching all the way back to, call it Dustin Montgomery in 19th. So 10 trucks there fighting for positions right on the edge of the top 10, but it's these three at the front that we're paying the most attention to: Jacob Hall, and then Brian Schoenberg and Barrett Bonner.
Here they come down the back straightaway as these guys finally rocket up off the corner. This pack that you're looking back at, they're about 5 seconds behind the race leader as they come around off 4 here. And Justin Knobloch still all over the back bumper. These two pitted on the same lap. So they are on the same sort of strategy, but Daniel Buttafuoco has closed the gap as here comes Knobloch peeking to the inside. We're going to go side by side. You won't miss a thing here from Las Vegas Motor Speedway, coming to 38 laps to go. Omar Diallo's your race leader in the eNASCAR qualifying iRacing series. Stay with us. And we welcome you back here to Las Vegas Motor Speedway, the virtual Las Vegas Motor Speedway. 34 laps to go. This battle for the lead continues to heat up. Omar Diallo leads, Daniel Buttafuoco second, Brandon McKissick third, then Knobloch, Matheson, Cooley, and Blaze Crawford are all in this pack fighting for the race lead.
It's a very, very, very good battle that has started to congeal nicely, especially as you look at some of the differences in tire strategy. Tommy Gossett's at the back end of this group. He was the first one to come down. He's on 32-lap old tires, the youngest tires I see amongst this bunch. Long two. Drivers right behind him, Barrett Bonner and Brian Schoenberg, who have a solid 11 laps on Gossett, and then everybody ahead of him somewhere within that range. So this is where you see comers and goers in this race, and this is where this gets really fun, especially because the drivers on the two-stop strategy are not too far removed from what should be their final pit stop of the race.
And Justin Malillo, let's go to you here. The fact that, yeah, we are closing in on what will likely be the final stops of the night.
Right on, Jacob. We are expecting these front runners to come in and pit one last time. There are a handful of drivers that are going to be able to make it, but I'm hearing over the comms, Omar, Justin Knobloch, they're going to be coming down and taking service. Blaze Crawford also, they should be coming in this time by. Here they come.
Ask and you shall receive. Here we go. Final pit stops for those fighting at the front of the field. The question is now, guys, when does everybody else decide to come to pit road and pull the trigger? Now that the top three, at least the leader, has come on to pit road, when will these others come to get fresh tires to make it to the end?
Yeah, I'm really interested with that as well with Daniel Buttafuoco. We saw last round Joey Brown stayed out for what was like 5 or 10 laps after that. Everybody else kind of peeled away from that pack. So I'm interested to see if Buttafuoco kind of follows that or if he's going to be coming in here in the next 2 or 3 laps. Maybe McKissick does what Joey Brown did. Just really curious to see how the strategy plays out and where everybody cycles through at.
These drivers all get off pit road just fine as here come the leaders. Off turn number 2, Buttafuoco, McKissick, and Matheson. As they rocket around to turn number 3, some guys further in the back just declared that they're coming onto pit road this time by. Michael P. Frisch is one of them. Connor Horn is another. Devin Hall is another. And I'm impressed with these guys that they've been able to keep it clean. As I say that, Connor Horn almost spins it getting to pit road, but they've kept the noses pointing forward for the most part on their entries to pit road.
Starting to see the number of drivers who have yet to pit trickle down. We should be somewhere in the ballpark of, call it, 19, 20 trucks, I would say, once this wraps. A few more coming down this time. Brandon McKissick just about lost the car or truck on entry to pit road, but he's the highest running of the drivers to come in here on lap 72, as Budafuco, Matheson, and Cooley now represent that lead pack, the top 3, and then you see this group behind them led by Brian Schoenberg and Barrett Bonner and company.
Here comes second and third. They're coming in this time by. Budafuco going to stay out for another lap. Here comes Matheson. Here comes Cooley. Everybody else going to rocket up off the corner and stay out for yet another lap. Budafuco coming in this time around.
Yeah, I mean, after those guys peeled off right behind him, how do you stay out like this by yourself? I mean, it almost is like a super speedway-like effect where you don't want to be on old tires running around by yourself when you're going to have guys that are on fresh tires running in, small little mini packs for that draft to benefit them. I mean, he's probably going to be somewhat like a second and a half, so coming in this time, a really wise decision for Budafuco.
And here he comes, final pit stop of the day. He's got to make sure he doesn't overshoot his box like he did the last time he visited pit road, and we'll see what he can do. Perhaps the strongest truck of the night, definitely the strongest truck left after the crash that involved Joey Brown that did not bring out the caution flag just past the halfway point, as we are at 26 laps to go in the second race of the first round of the eNASCAR qualifying iRacing series. Couple more peeling off onto pit road. Jacob Hall will climb, making their last stop of the day. Budafuco is off and rolling. But Omar Diallo, Justin Knobloch, and Blaze Crawford go flying right on by.
So now the question becomes, what does the difference in tire age do for all of these drivers? And is it better to have come in early and get the track position, or better to save that pit stop for later to try and give yourself enough tire to storm through the field? Or can you hang it out all the way and maybe stretch it all the way to the end of this thing? I think it'd be tough, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see somebody amongst the 9 drivers that have yet to come down pit road try that strategy to, if not win the race, pick up a finish that would beat out what they do if they ran the 2 south strategy.
They're going to the 3 horsemen, Diallo, Knobloch, and Blaze Crawford, unlapping themselves, getting by Bonner and Schoenberg. This is the current battle for the lead in the 14 and the 13. The trucks that just passed them are likely going to be battling for the lead whenever the remaining drivers that have stayed out come onto pit road. They do need to make one more stop before this thing is said and done as we approach 20 laps to go.
Yeah, and I'm really just curious, once this does cycle through, so last time I was noticing Omar Diallo, he was still on fresh tires, but, they weren't as fresh as the guys behind him. But what he seemed to be able to do was hold that pack up and command it until he did eventually have to pit. So whoever is going to come out the leader this time around, I'm really interested to see if that same thing can happen and, maybe they can play it just right to where they're going to be able to win the race just holding up the guys behind them.
Brian Schoenberg almost got run over. Tommy Gossett went around the outside, and Schoenberg picked up a little bit of right rear damage. He was down on the inside, and Gossett just wanted to get on by, and maybe he ran a little too close for comfort coming through turn 2, but Gossett gets by Bonner as well, unlaps himself. Here comes McKissick trying to do the same, and Justin Malillo, you've got a guy that you think can make it to the end that has yet to pit. He was one of the last guys to pit under the last green flag stint in Joseph, this 9 truck.
I'm actually looking at Joseph, and Matthew Thernhorst. They both pitted as late as they possibly could. I think that their strategy from here on out is going to try and make it to the end.
What an upset that would be if those guys can hang on here in these final 20 laps and make it the distance. They'd be going almost 50 laps on a tank of fuel. It's been 29 laps since they last pitted. With 20 to go, that puts them at 49 laps. It's gonna be pretty tough.
The fuel honestly doesn't impress me near as much as the tires do. That's really what stands out to me. If you make the tires last 50 laps and still put in competitive circuits here and at least maintain the gap between your times and the times of the drivers with the fresh tires so that you're not giving up too much as we progress through these final 20 laps of this race. You can do that. Who knows? Maybe we get a surprise winner in the end.
But wait, there's more. Davey Davis in the chat just let us know that the pack that Jordan Worth is in, that's got Jason Maines, Lucas Cramworth, and Matt Coker. They should be able to make it to the end on fuel. The four of them, they are 12 seconds or so. Make it 8 seconds behind the 33 of Thunhorst and the 9 of Joseph. So if they can catch those two, we may have a party up here as far as racing for the win is concerned. If they can make it to the end, that's the golden ticket that awaits them. The only other problem is that Omar Diallo is closing in fast. He's 3 seconds behind the pack of four that can make it.
Yeah, I want to mention that Delaney just dipped off to pit road, so now it's just Barrett. Barrett also went on to pit road, so right now Joseph is going to have control of this race with Thunhorst behind him. I think if this second pack can catch him, like I was saying earlier, they're going to just try to be holding them up as long as possible and, hoping that the laps tick off fast enough for them to be able to, stay in the lead and be in position to win this race.
We have just 16 laps to go here from Las Vegas. Let's take a look at what's upcoming here on FTF.GG. Saturday night, the Bar Visual FTF Cup Series stays right here at Las Vegas, 9:45 p.m. Eastern Time. We go live from Vegas on Saturday, then Sunday, 8 o'clock Eastern. The Winstel Gen 4 Challenge from Auto Club Speedway. 2 weeks from tonight, March 17th, Thursday that is, we go to Atlanta and we race Atlanta. A version of Atlanta. That's all we got. But we're going to be at Atlanta, that much we know. 2 weeks from tonight here on FTF.GG. That is what is upcoming. As we are now coming to 14 laps to go, Joseph and Thunhorst continue to lead. This second pack is a good 8 seconds behind and closing a little bit, but Omar Diallo is closing even quicker.
And that's the question. That's the gap that I'm watching. Diallo and company are about 0.7 of a second faster than Joseph and Matthew Thunhorst at the moment. Do the math. Put you in the ballpark of, right about 14, 15 laps they need. They're going to have to maintain that sort of time difference. But then you have to also worry about the traffic, too, because it's not just Joseph and Matthew Thunhorst. Jason Maines, Lucas Cram, Matt Cucker, and Jordan Worth all on that same strategy, too. So, not impossible, but tricky, to say the least.
It's going to be very difficult for these guys to hang on to the very end as here comes Diallo. This pack, they've also got McKissick and Matheson that has caught this group. So 5 trucks trying to close in on the guys that think they can make it to the end. They're going to go around the outside line. Coming to 12 laps to go.
Yeah, and I want to throw it back up to Joseph right now. So like we said earlier, 50 laps on tires is just absolutely insane, and the fall off has been just crazy on these trucks. So right now, they were falling off big time in terms of lap time. They were running 31.9s, which is almost 2 seconds off of what they usually run, with fresh tires, with draft. For a moment there, they picked up Landon Huffman before he kind of drove off from them. And their lap times have picked back up to 31.6s, which is, in that competitive range of, maybe they can stretch out this gap and make it last for another 10 laps in front of this second pack, which is side-by-side racing hard right now.
And Diallo's group is now losing time. They got it under 8 seconds. Now it's back over 8 seconds. Now they start to reel it in a little bit again, but only 0.3 a lap quicker is not going to cut it. Coming to 10 laps to go, but keep an eye on this second pack because these guys are awfully close to each other. It just takes one mistake to bunch the entire field back together for a late race restart.
And especially with the move, I saw Brandon McKissick just chop the nose off of Jason Maines' truck. We see that again, and you time that wrong. You saw what happened between Logan Clampett and Steven Wilson in the Coke Series race here 2 days ago. If you're not clear, somebody's not only going into the fence, but they're going into the fence hard. So best case scenario for Joseph and Matthew Thunhorst would be for these guys to space it out and for the drivers on fresh tires to get ahead of their compatriots that have been running on the one-stop strategy. Diallo's done it, and he's clear, and he's faster, but again, not by enough. 7.4 seconds with 9 laps to go. He needs almost a second a lap in order just to get to Joseph and Matthew Thunhorst.
He either needs more than a second a lap or it needs a yellow handkerchief to get flown from the flag stand. We'll see if either happen as we approach the final 8 laps. As here comes Buttafuoco underneath Blaze Crawford. That got scary for a moment. Coming into turn number 3, they're still side by side of the stripe as they hit 8 laps to go. The 19 of Jake Matheson right up the road as they head on.
Yeah, right now it's just I'm a little confused right now because you figure they're wanting to make up as much time as possible, and they are within under 7 seconds now, at least Omar Diallo and now Knobloch are. But you figure they were going to just kind of run a little more organized together, maybe a single file type thing, just to try to make up as much time as possible. But you still see right now, I believe that's Buttafuoco, is still peeking to the inside of Matheson, and it's taking away time that they so desperately need right now because laps are taken away. We're only at 7 to go coming to 6. They need to make up as much time as possible if they want to have a shot here.
Here comes McKissick down on the inside. He's got no help. Now he's going to get some help. Matheson going to give him a shove. Then he pulls up to the outside line. Truck gets a little squirrely on him. McKissick underneath Knobloch. Diallo able to cover the spot. Side by side for second in this pack. Coming to 6 laps to go. The gap remains just 6.5 seconds. They're running out of time.
They need more. They're not getting it, and I don't think Knobloch and McKissick racing for a position is going to help all that much, especially when those drivers both are on that alternate two-stop strategy that Diallo has used to get to P3. They've certainly charged the field, but it might not be enough. We'll watch times as they come across the stripe. Joseph and Matthew Thunhorst at 31.7 and at 31.6. Diallo and company going to run 31.4. 5 laps to go, and it's still 6 seconds. It's not enough. They need way more than what they're getting.
These guys are driving so hard right now behind Omar Diallo. They get very close to each other. There were a couple of times there coming off 4 and down the front straightaway where I thought they were going to make contact and cause a wreck, which in turn may help them if they can avoid the wreck, but it doesn't help them if they are the wreck. Coming to 4 laps to go, the gap is only 6 seconds. The only problem is they need to double time how fast they're closing in on this top 2 in Joseph and Matthew Thunhorst. Eventually we're going to have to go to them and see who, if Thunhorst can make the pass for the win. There's only a tenth between those two. They're still nose to tail.
Yeah, right now, I'm just wondering to myself right now with Thunhorst, does he have the tires? I mean, he has a little bit of rear damage. Is his truck in a condition where he's going to be able to get around Joseph here in about 4 laps? I mean, we're coming to the crunch time, and it's just, I'm not sure if it's there right now as he's going to kind of drive it in hard into 1.
3 laps to go, coming to 2 to go this time by, and I think, Pike, correct me if I'm wrong, he's just kind of testing the water, seeing what he can do on his own to maybe set him up on this last lap. We saw a photo finish here a season ago. Could we see something similar now with just 2 laps to go?
The beauty of this is that with the way that gap is stalled out, Diallo and company are about 5.5 seconds back. So this is Joseph versus Matthew Thunhorse for the victory if they don't run into each other. So now if you're Thunhorse, you might be able to try and figure out something, and you think he's going to at least try to get the win. But again, now down to a lap and a half as they come to 3 and 4. Thunhorse is going to have to try something soon.
Here come the leaders through 3 and 4. The 5 of Delaney right behind. Down the front straightaway. White flag in the wind. 1.5 miles to go here from Las Vegas. We have hit the magic number of lap 100. Joseph leads. Matthew Thunhorst is in second. Thunhorst around the outside. He's got an edge. Side by side. Down the back straightaway. Headed to turn number 3. Trying to side draft. Here we go into 3. Joseph runs the middle line, now comes down to the white line. He sends it in deep. He slides up. Thunhorst up by the wall. Joseph covers the spot to the bottom. Here they come. Joseph, no! At the line, Thunhorst pulls the win out at the stripe by 6/1000ths of a second. And once again, a photo finish to end the race at Las Vegas.
Oh my goodness. Joseph, I think just got tight in the exit of 4, and he just gave up too much. He was trying to cover the center to make sure that Thunhorst couldn't cross him over, but he just went up the racetrack too far, and Thunhorst reacted perfectly, kept the foot matted to the floor, and then it's weird. It's almost like, did Joseph get loose or run out of speed or something? It almost looks like he let off the gas, because normally you don't lose that much pace. Or maybe that was just the run that Thunhorst had coming down the hill. But in either case, what a finish at Las Vegas. And Matthew Thunhorst, after sitting behind Joseph for the entirety of the second half of that race, pulls out the rug from underneath him on the last lap and gets his first victory in the 2022 eNASCAR Qualifying iRacing Series.
Thunhorst finished 33rd 2 weeks ago at Daytona. He finishes P1 here tonight. Listening to the onboard, call me crazy. Does Joseph start to run out of fuel coming to the line?
That's exactly what I was thinking. Was out of turn number 4. I mean, he's going 172. I mean, it almost just seems like the engine starts sputtering. I'm honestly thinking that he started to run out of fuel right there, and it was just at the literally most inopportune time in maybe human history right here to run out of fuel coming to the finish, because it was literally a second later he runs out of fuel. He's still the winner of this race.
You gotta wonder if it comes down to the fact where he was just leading the draft the whole way on that last run and just couldn't save enough. And I think you did just say that, but you know, these things happen. Nonetheless, Matthew Thunhorst with the win here at Las Vegas in an upset. Another fantastic photo finish here from Las Vegas. It was 9/1000ths of a second a season ago. This time around, it's 6/1000ths of a second. Thunhorst coming from 31st on the grid to finish in the lead. Joseph second, Omar Diallo in third, Justin Knobloch, Daniel Buttafuoco rounding out your top 5. Then it's Jake Matheson, Brandon McKissick, Blaze Crawford, Jason Maines, and Tommy Gossett your top 10.
11th this evening was Matt Cucker. Lucas Cram finished in the 12th position. Jordan Worth brought his truck home in 13th. 14th went to Jacob Hall. Will Cooley finishes in the 15th position. Will Klein, 16th. Those two together say where they started this race. Connor Horn was 17th this evening. 18th went to P.J. Evans. Barrett Bonner and Devin Hall completed the top 20.
Yeah, going to look at 21st here. It's going to be Michael P. Frisch, Michael Rosero, Brian Schoenberg, who ran up front for a fair amount of the race, Jesse Schwartz, Connor Strong, Dustin Montgomery, Landon Huffman, Jonathan Delaney. That's Dmitry Anaseyev, Garrett Conrath in 30th. Going to take a look at 31st as well on back. Here, Dallas Pataska is going to get Michael Venable, who is a DNF. Joey Brown after some contact going into turn 1. Dustin Monberquette, a tough night for him. And then Jacob Putman rounds out your field in 35th, 99 laps down.
What a race. Unbelievable. Again, another photo finish here at Las Vegas. And we almost went caution-free. Had the crash on at the end of lap 1, but other than that, a perfect night. As far as the caution is concerned, we can at least get an answer to what happened off 4 from our second place finisher in Joseph. What happened coming to the line? Did you run out of fuel?
Yeah, I ran out of fuel. I was trying really hard to save the whole run. When we had that caution the first lap, I knew we were going to be in good position. So, I mean, I definitely did not have the car or the truck, to run up front. But I mean, you gotta do opposite of what other people do. I mean, that was the goal, and we came up just short, but I mean, it was still a good run. I mean, so close though. I mean, it's really unlucky. 0.06 thousandths. Man, that's very tough.
So close to winning here at Las Vegas. If a caution would have come out there at the end, do you think that you still would have been okay? Everybody potentially coming on the pit road there at the end to try and scrap something together tire-wise?
I think that would be more a negative to me because I would have no tires, and I don't think I would have been able to make it because it probably would have been extended for a green-white checkered. So I think it was more beneficial to run out there. Maybe if it was earlier during the pit stops when everyone was a lap down, it would have been more beneficial for a caution, but the way it planned out was almost perfect.
Nonetheless, second place is nothing to sneeze at. 16th 2 weeks ago at Daytona. Now a second place here tonight at Las Vegas. Where does the mind now look forward to knowing that we're going to be at some version of Atlanta in 2 weeks?
Yeah, honestly, we're just going to do the same thing, test a ton, give it our best, give it our all. Like you said, I'm not sure if it's the new Atlanta version or the old one. I guess, want it to be the new version. It'd make it more interesting. I don't know. Chaos would be pretty fun. We're just going to give it our all. Our triad racing machine is going to go out there, give another fast set, and we're going to go possibly get the win this time.
Congratulations on the second place finish, and we will see you in 2 weeks from Atlanta. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Joseph, your second place finisher tonight, barely by just 9 1,000, make it 6 1,000ths of a second. And it looks like that's going to be all the drivers we get to talk to here tonight from Las Vegas, but still a wild night of racing from beginning to end. Yeah, we had that caution at the beginning, went caution-free the rest of the way, and in the end, just like a season ago, we end in dramatic fashion in a photo finish.
Deja vu, mirrored script. Jacob, you want a polishing cloth for your crystal ball? Something like that, maybe? Something to that effect. I don't know. But this is what mile and a half racing with these trucks in the eNASCAR qualifying iRacing series is like. We've come to expect it. And especially when you get towards the top splits of this series, you really start to see the quality come out, not only in the side-by-side racing that we saw tonight, but also with the pit strategy, too. It was a big call for Matthew Thunors and Joseph to go for the one-stop strategy. But in the end, you play it right. It pays off. I'll be curious to see what happens when we go to Atlanta next week, not the least of which because, we'll be racing at Atlanta in some form, but also because regardless of what happens with the track, you're going to have so many different opportunities to play the same sort of pit strategy games that we saw tonight and even that we sort of saw at Daytona. It's almost been an extension of the same themes that we saw from the first race of the season, and I suspect we'll probably see somebody else try something similar when we get to Atlanta in 2 weeks' time for race 3.
And Caleb, I think that's what we've seen at least a lot of this season. Sometimes speed doesn't necessarily matter. It just depends on what strategy you show up and what cards you have in your deck when it's time to come to pit road.
Well, absolutely. Not only strategy, but just these clean pit stops. I mean, we saw it there tonight. Garrett Conrath, a huge speeding penalty, and we didn't get a caution for the rest of the race. It took him out. So we've been seeing, these clean green flag runs that have spanned, almost the entire race and literally the entire race at Daytona. So just getting onto pit road, making sure you have that right strategy, making sure you get clean stop, no mistakes. That's been the wild card, the main factor of winning races so far this year.
Matthew Thunhorst is our surprise winner tonight here from Las Vegas. For our producer, Zach Johnson, for our pit reporter, Justin Melillo, and alongside me, Caleb Huffman and James Pike, I'm Jacob Pitts. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you in 2 weeks' time from the virtual Atlanta International Speedway. In the meantime, or Atlanta Motor Speedway, I guess it's called. In the meantime, we're back Saturday with the Bar Visual FTF Cup Series here from Vegas. Matthew Thunhorst, your winner. We'll see you in 2 weeks.